Yes, children, back again to chapter number 5 of Hornbill, the alien planet. Okay, the very interesting chapter, and now we are into the last page of this chapter. Find page number 46 in your book. Now, what are we going to cover? A very interesting and very prominent topic, that is the exploding population of the world. Not only of the world. This is written by Nani Palkhiwala. So mainly he will touch upon the exploding and over-exploding population of India in this one. So now let's come to the facts and figures over here. Okay, here he has mentioned at what rate the population is growing. What he has written here, that around the year 1800. Okay, around the year 1800 the world's population hardly reached, then it reached to its first billion, and in India, okay, the figure of India tells it was around 200 million, and this 200 million included Pakistanis and Bangladeshi, which are different countries now, but those days it was very much part of India, so this 200 million included them also. Now let's come to 1 century after that. Not 1 year, not 2 years, not 1 decade, but 1 century. After that, another 1 billion was added. So it was around 2 billion for the whole world, and for India, hardly 38 million more added. So from 200 it became 238. Now almost a century after that, that is 1994, when this article was written by Mr. Palkhiwala. Okay, just see the drastic change, children. From 2 billion it became 5.7 billion. And let's come to our lovely country India. 238 rose to 942 million. How many times more? Almost 4-fold. Okay. Now after this, when this article was written, the population of India, according to what Mr. Palkhiwala has mentioned over here, it was around 920 millions. What he has written today means 1900, and as it is written 1994. Okay, but as on today, that is 2020, okay, it is 7.8 billion in the world population. Hardly 2 billion has added, but in India, drastic means super drastic increase. While it was 942 million in 94 when the article was written, today it's 1,366 million, that is 1.36 billion. And where are we standing today? We are the second next to China. China's population now is 1.40 billion, and we are just standing close to China, that is 1.36. So is this good? This is not good, children, because the rising of population, okay, here it has written, the rich gets richer and the poor beget children, which means they condemn to remain poor. Why they condemn to remain poor? Because for rich people, when they get education, they get proper education and they know how to control the population. But poor people, they get poorer and poorer because they are under the impression that getting more children means getting 2 more hands to work. But where is the work? Where is the work? There is a limitation for everything. Getting more children doesn't mean that we get 2 and 2 more hands. We get 1 more mouth to eat. Okay. So the consumption, there should be an increase in consumption, but the resources are limited, and the income for the poor people are limited also. The poor people, when they cannot survive their own small family, if they keep on getting more and more children, how will they feed? Either they will die or they will go towards doing some bad things to get money. So what he has written there, that what is the best contraceptive means what is the best way to control the fertility, what is the best way to stop the growth of population. We cannot force them into sterilization, into forced sterilization. Okay, he has written word for that. Okay, we cannot force them into that. That is not the answer. The answer is the development. Development under the limit of knowing our limited resource, where we have to share that resource with other species also, where we have to sustain that resource for our future generation also. So that should be the development. So if fertility remains in a limited area, okay, if there is a limitation of population, we will get education, they will get quality education, and with education they will know how to handle all the things, how to take care of the world. Okay, not to be just like a mass population in the world. So he has written here that human beings should not be treated like a cattle with force and compulsory sterilization, but there should be an alternative to that. Okay, alternative to that means they should be made aware. They should be made aware of the fact that why the population should be within a limit, and they should know that they have to choose they have to choose between the control of population and the perpetuation of poverty. Means if they keep on growing at this speed, poverty will be perpetual, never ending. Forget about never ending. The poverty will keep on increasing and increasing. So they must. So it is our utmost duty to make people aware about the population. Okay, and this should be the topmost priority. That's what he has written here, that it should be the topmost priority to control the population, because the alarming figure, okay, the world figure is not that much alarming, but the population growth in India, okay, that's drastic. Okay, if we see the records, okay, what does the government record says? Okay, the population in the world grows. There are 170 new births every minute. Children, mind my word, not every hour, not every day, every minute in the world. But what is the share of our country, India in that? 51 newborn children every minute, and that's too high a figure. Okay, out of 170 in the world, our share is 51. Okay, and that's not a beautiful share. If we have to share in something in the world for the universe, we should share. We should give our hands towards a betterment. Okay, so at last what he has written: for the first time in human history, we see a transcending concern for survival, not just people but of the planet. Now what is a transcending concern? That is a major concern. Now what is our major concern now? Now that is the very first time when the Green Revolution was introduced by New Zealand. After that, it really never looked back. Okay, people are aware that they are living on an earth which is breathing, and yes, they realize that it is ailing, it is sick, and it is breathing very hard for the survival, our earth, our planet. So people, they realize that they are sharing the earth, the planet, with other many million species, and they have to share it with them so even they can survive. They know that. Fine. Because it says that the environment problem does not necessarily signal our demise, but it is a passport for our future. Why? Okay, what is the aim of the passport? It allows us to travel abroad. So why a good environment is our passport for the future? Because, okay, if our environment is good, if our environment is healthy, it get good breathing, then it will give a good future to our future generation. They will have a future in the environment. Okay, they will enjoy the environment, the natural resources in the same way we are enjoying it now. So the healthy environment is a passport for the future in that sense. Okay, so it's a holistic view, an ecological view, seeing the world as an integrated whole rather than dissociated collection of parts. Okay, find me means we should take the world as a whole, not as a part. Fine. And here it has written that, she has written that industry has a most crucial role to play in this new era responsibility. Why? Why the industry's role is also vital here? Because the chairman of DuPont, Mr. Edgar S. Vollard, okay, he was the chairman, but he declared himself as the chief environmental officer. He says that I'm not only the chairman, don't take me as the chairman, I'm the chief environmental officer. And children, all of you know very well that DuPont is very well known. It's a very big player in chemical industry. And if the chairman of that industry, that plant is telling that he is the chief environmental officer, then it's a good sign, and all other industries in the world should also come forward as the agent, okay, as the agent of this environment, as a caretaker. Okay, and in the last paragraph he has mentioned statement made by Madame Margaret Thatcher when she was in prime ministership. She mentioned that none has passed so decisively into the current coin of English uses as her. Did she say? No generation has a free hold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy with full repairing lease. Okay, means no generation, not our forefathers, not the coming generation. Nobody has a free hold of this. Nobody is the owner of any small piece of land. It doesn't belong to them. Okay, if we can buy it from money, but once we are gone, the earth will remain here, the soil will remain here, the land will remain here. Okay, we cannot be the owner of that land. We cannot own the earth. We cannot own the planet. Okay, all we have is we got it on lease and we have to keep it intact. Okay, that is, keep it repaired, keep it intact. Fine, children. So at the end of this lesson, a very beautiful line has been mentioned by Mr. Lester Brown. And as you can remember, who was Mr. Lester Brown, who told us the 4 biological factors or concepts of this, or that is fishery, fishery, forest, grassland and cropland. And at the last lines of his articles, he mentioned that we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers. We have borrowed it from our children. So children, that is the whole essence. this particular line is the whole essence of this chapter. Means we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers. When we came into this existence, we have not inherited it. Okay, inherited it from our forefather. Here what he means to say that if we inherit something, okay, we can use it, or rather we use it as we like. Okay, sometimes we can finish it because this is what my forefather gave me. This is my thing. I use it as I please. But this earth is not given by my forefather. I cannot use it that way. It is something which we have borrowed from our children, and if we borrow something, we have to use it in a way that we have to return the same thing in the same way, intact, from the person we have borrowed. So we have borrowed it from our children, from the generations which are yet to come. So means we have to take care of this earth, we have to take care of the natural resources, so we can hand over it to them in the same way, in the same healthy way, and we have to give the same healthy environment and the same green and beautiful planet to our children, to the next generation, for the decades and for the centuries to come. Okay, so this is the end of the chapter, children. Again I stress and I ask you to give it a read, so you will understand your responsibility towards this planet. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me. Have a good day, children.